right, Kendra, you have do you have the viewers? Like you can see how many views, right? Viewers we have, right? Okay. Just maybe wait. Or let's just give it like a minute or two after you go live, just to get people on board. All right, we can jump into it. So for for the benefit of our viewers, thank you for tuning in. I think this is BFT Hangout number 17. Wait, that's a lot. We do all that, Kendra? But anyway, it's BFT Google Hangout number 17. And a lot of us know that we have a pretty hot topic out there right now with the upcoming gender equality referendum with the 4 proposed amendments. And today we wanted to address, for the most part, well, 3 of them. There's the 1 through 3 addresses citizenship. And we know 4 is a more controversial one that deals with gender equality. But we're going to, well, they all deal with gender equality, but more so discrimination based off sex. But 1 through 3 is kind of something we want to deal with today in terms of bringing to light persons who live in the Bahamas right now and who may have been subjected, their lives may have been subjected or impacted by the existing inequalities that exist in the Constitution that amendments 1 through 3 are trying to address and rectify. For a lot of us, we may not be affected by that. We were born in the Bahamas. We were born to 2 Bahamians who were married, and we have no issues there. And as far as we're concerned, we're never going to get with a foreigner, and our children will never get with a foreigner. So we're all one big happy Bahamian family. And so bills 1 through 3, who cares? I'm not really interested in them. However, I vote for number 4 is probably how I'm going to end up voting for all of them. We want to be careful with that. So I think that's not necessarily the most responsible approach. So, Bahamas Free Thinkers, the Facebook group, in an effort to get as much information out there as possible so we can, at the very least, be informed. We're not here to tell anybody how to vote, but we would like to keep you informed as possible so you can, be a bit more prepared on voting day. We wanted to bring 2 stories to you, and we're grateful for these persons coming forward as well and being willing to share their stories with us and with you publicly. Who these persons may have been impacted based off of their child and being able to pass citizenship or not, or their spouse being able to not pass citizenship but to obtain citizenship because they may live in the Bahamas now. And we're very grateful to have them. We have Gina Jenkins.
Hello.
And we have Kier Miller, correct?
All right, good morning.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, and we also have another BFT administrator, Kendra, who's on the call, and she may come in and out as need be. And so we're about to get started. So, Gina, I'll just ask you to introduce yourself real quick and maybe not necessarily go in depth of your situation, but just kind of just bring us up to speed with what your situation is, and then we'll go to Kier, and then we'll start to kind of delve a bit deeper into the individual cases. So Gina, good morning.
Good morning. Yep. Gina Jenkins. I'm married to Bahamian Chris Jenkins, and we have 3 children. 2 of our girls, and we have 1 son. So kind of see it on both sides, as my husband's mom is Bahamian and his dad is not, and then I have children of both genders. And I myself
and
am
you're not. Okay, right. You're not a Bahamian. Okay.
No.
Which nationality are you? I mean, I can assume, but which one are you?
I'm American.
Okay, you're American. Excellent. Thank you so much. And Kier, what's your kind of summarize real quick your scenario for us? We still got Kier, or do we lose Kier? Gina, you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. I think here. Okay, I think here may have froze. He'll probably jump back on.
Yeah,
So
I'm
Gina.
back. I'm
Oh,
back.
oh, okay, okay. Hey, Kier, no problem. Thank you, man. Thank you. Little technical glitch there. So, Kier, could you give us just a quick little summary of your particular situation?
Sure. I'm a single father of a 17-year-old whose mother is Jamaican. We were never married. He was born in Florida and came to live with me about 8 or 9 years ago. And since that time, I've been trying to get his immigration status sorted out.
Okay, so you have it's your son, and he was born outside of the country
Correct?
to a Jamaican mother.
Correct.
Okay, okay. And I think that's right. Is it amendment number three? I believe amendment number three that's trying to address that issue where unmarried fathers being able to pass citizenship on to their children, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay, got you. Okay, so Gina and Kia, excellent. So Gina, I think the amendment that would address your case with trying to obtain citizenship because you're not able to you're not able to obtain citizenship.
Not at the moment, no. I believe I have to, I myself would have to be here. I can't remember exactly how many years it is, and then I'd be able to apply or be married to Chris for X amount of years. I think it's something like, I want to say 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, no, I heard something about it was two iterations of some type of spousal permit, I think. So it's 2 5-year periods, and
Yeah.
then you can apply. You have the right to apply, and I guess they review it and they'll grant it based off of that. And your children, Gina, your children, they are Bahamian?
They are, yes. They're Bahamian through their father.
They were born here as well?
They were, all three of them were born here.
They were
Yes.
all they were all born here. Okay, so through the father, they were able to gain citizenship. So a situation like that, Gina, for example, if had or someone in your case had how long have you and Chris been married?
We've been married for 7 years.
You've been married for 7 years. So are you on your second iteration of a spousal permit? Is that what you have, a spousal permit?
Yes, I'm on my second spousal permit, and my papers for permanent residency with the right to work are still processing, which they have been processing for over 2 years now.
Okay. So if you get permanent residency with the right to work, you don't necessarily need citizenship.
No, I do not. No. Mm-mm. That's correct.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you got citizenship, would you have to renounce your current U.S. citizenship?
I would, yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I know some people see that as kind of a disadvantage to gaining citizenship in the Bahamas.
I think it just kind of depends on the scenario. I mean, being an American, if I cross a certain threshold with my income, I am still paying taxes back to the States. I'm still paying taxes on my bank accounts that are in the United States. So, I'm not past that threshold. Or even, it gets a little bit deeper, but if Chris and I, even on a joint bank account, if our joint bank accounts where my name was on it was making X amount of money, that is taxable back to the States as well. So we haven't hit our oil field, our oil mine, our diamond mine, so we're not anywhere near that, but
Okay.
if we were, that could be a reason to give up my citizenship with the U.S. For money purposes.
But the challenge there, though, Gina, if you give up your U.S. Well, if you have to give up your U.S. citizenship because you were granted Bahamian citizenship, for example, if your marriage didn't work out in the future, you won't necessarily be able to go back to your quote-unquote home.
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine. Which you may not have to, seeing that your children they're all Bahamian. I mean, they've lived their whole life here.
That's correct. Yeah, that's possible as well. And I mean, but even through Chris, I mean, Chris had to apply for his citizenship because his mom's Bahamian and his dad is English.
His mom is Bahamian and his dad is English.
Correct.
And he had to apply. So female, unmarried female. Oh, they were married when he was
No,
born.
they were married. His mom was born and bred in Nassau, 30 years. Met his father, got married. They then relocated to England, and Chris was born within the year. So he was born in England to a
Okay.
Bahamian mother that was married to his English father.
Okay. So
Then,
so the mistake his mother made is she married his father. Had she not married his father, he would have probably had a pretty he would have been entitled to citizenship from birth. But anyway,
there you go.
so
There you go.
so how did Chris get it? I mean, because he I guess upon his 18th birthday that they then applied for citizenship for Chris.
Yes, yeah, they applied. He had to then fly back here and be interviewed, and then pending that interview, he was then given his naturalized citizenship that way. But honestly, I think it was just luck of the day, luck of the way that the wind was blowing, that he got it because, under the current laws, there's no reason that he should have been, given his citizenship. I know one of our previous neighbors, same situation. Mom was married, Bahamian mother was married to an Englishman, and he didn't get his citizenship. He just got permanent residency with the right to work.
Well, he's entitled upon his 18th birthday. He's entitled to apply. I think that's so. I don't think there was no reason for him not. I guess in terms of him being approved was the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I mean, that's the question. Like, what exactly? How do they determine who actually gets it? If all you can do, you're entitled to apply, but you're still not entitled to citizenship. Is that a processing issue? Is that still some xenophobia at work? It depends on who interviews you that day. What country your birth father is from. Like, what else factors into whether or not your request for citizenship is approved or denied, and why is that something that's subjective?
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's any criteria or publicized criteria in terms of exactly how that's supposed to happen. Okay, I is Kier still with us?
Can I also point out, like, because a lot of people have there's the fear that if Bahamian women were to marry and if they could transfer their citizenship to foreign husbands, we'd have this influx of foreign men getting citizenship right away. In Gina's case, these amendments won't change anything about the process by which a spouse can get citizenship. It's presumably still going to take, you still have to go through 2 spousal permits, which basically means 10 years of waiting. And even if you put in for permanent residency before that, Gina said hers, it's been in for 2 years and it's still pending. We're not talking about, we're not talking about a lot of people, but we're also not talking about this influx of foreign men who will, suddenly have Bahamian citizenship and all the rights that come along with that.
I think Kier's back.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, sorry about that. It's just kind of a slow internet connection there. Kier, you back with us? Not sure if he's back.
Back. You just gotta unmute your mic.
Well, I just want to address something that Kendra had mentioned just now in terms of there being not necessarily any policy in place or any clear determination as to how and why someone would be approved or not approved or granted or denied citizenship. Gina, do you know of any? Were there anything that was there any specifics criteria that you know of seeing that
No,
you're familiar with the process?
yeah, no, nothing. I mean, I think it's honestly, like Kendra was talking about, it could just be luck of the draw or, who you're speaking with. I honestly, I have no idea of what the hoops or what the tick marks are that you need to have.
Okay, I think that's frustrating for a lot of persons because they don't know, and it can really lead to not necessarily favoritism, but kind of victimization as well. I think it ultimately it's the cabinet that decides who exactly gets the citizenship or not. I think that I'm very curious about the process as well. Are they just sitting around the table? Okay, here are the current applications. Who is this person? Okay, Chris Jenkins. Who is he? Oh, well, is there a picture there? What's boy? Well, Mr. Prime Minister, that's my boy, man. I know him from around the block. He's a good guy. I think he all right. Oh boy, who's this person? Farrell Goff. What? I don't know. Anybody know him? Anybody know around the table know about this guy? Well, I don't think so. We ain't ready for him yet. It's just it really it leaves that type of questioning open for the citizenship and for the public. How exactly is this done? So I wish there was a more clear and transparent process in terms of this is the criteria that you need to be granted citizenship. But I wonder if they do it as for is it a national security reason? Maybe that's why they protect it and they keep it closed.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
And actually, we were told after my first spousal permit, so you have your first spousal permit for 5 years, then I would be able to apply for my permanent residency. So I did so, but then having that first spousal permit expired, then you have to apply for a second spousal permit. So basically redo all of those papers again that you've done for the first one, put in for the second one while my permanent residency is in as well. So it's a very, very jumbled, very non-clear way of going about it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it leads to a lot of anxiety and kind of emotional turmoil for many, many, many people.
Absolutely.
Gina, your kids, do they have, and just kind of going off on a tangent slightly, your kids, do they have American citizenship also?
They do, yes.
So, so in America, is their policy, as long as your mother or father is an American, you're automatically entitled to citizenship, regardless of where you're born?
That's correct. Yeah, I
Okay.
did have to go to the American Embassy, and I basically reported a U.S. citizen born overseas. So they have a Bahamian birth certificate, and then they have an American birth certificate as well. And on their American birth certificate, it just says an American citizen born overseas.
Okay. Okay. And so that's basically where we're trying to get to, if I understand correctly, regardless if it's your mother or father, as long as you're a Bahamian. Well, is it as long as you're Bahamian Bahamian citizen, you can pass it on to your child, whether you're married or not. Okay, that's cool.
Exactly. So had I not been married to Chris at the time that our first daughter, Eleni, was born, regardless of whether I was married or not, she would be American.
She'd be American.
Because her mother.
Excellent. And while we wait on Kier to get sorted out as well, I think, again, Kendra raised this point that Bahamians fear that we will have an influx of foreigners. Everybody would want to all of a sudden have, gain Bahamian citizenship, and there'll be more foreigners than Bahamians, and they will all try to get into the House of Assembly and run for Parliament and take over the country politically. But it's not. I think you're a living testament to this. It's not a very easy process. It takes there's a lot of time involved. So there's a lot of, if the marriage is not legit, there's a long period of time that will probably expose that along the way at some point. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's also an expense involved. I think the spousal permit is not it's not something that's free. How much does it cost, if you don't mind?
Um, I'm trying to recall. I believe I paid $200 for that. Um, and then, I can't recall right off the top of my head. I know um, it was like $200 here, and then $100 when you pick it up. It was about between the $200 and $300.
Okay, excellent. And so you're also applying for your permanent residency, and that's and what's inherent in the word, it's permanent. So if you and Chris were to not be together and let's say 5, 10 years or whatever, you will still be able to remain in this country and work. I think the only thing that would be withheld from you is the right to vote. Is that? And maybe I think for the most part that's it. You can't vote.
Correct. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. That's good. That's good. I think we're still waiting on Kia to get involved here. I don't know what's taking him so long, but so Gina, so you would want of both of either permanent residency and citizenship. You actually would prefer citizenship. Is that something? Had that right been available to you earlier, let's say that amendment was in place, you'd have taken that route.
No, I think I'm fine with just the permanent residency with the right to work. Here come my children, actually, right now at the moment.
Well, they're one of the stars of the conversation.
They are. They are. Here are 2 out of 3 of my kids. So as you can see, I mean, I have a daughter and okay, I have a daughter and a son. So that affects, like, these referendums affect our family for the next generation as well.
Yeah, yeah. So you said permanent residency would have been fine for you.
Yes, I'm not willing to give up my American citizenship at the moment, nor am I looking to. So, but I do want to live and reside and be able to work here. If something were to happen to Chris tomorrow, with just holding my spousal permit with the right to work, I don't know if that would just automatically poof into thin air. I kind of feel like I don't have a solid ground.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think I know somebody else who's in that predicament now, where yeah, them and their husbands is at odds, and I don't think they necessarily live together. And the marriage is still on paper, it still exists, but they're not together anymore. And I think they have a daughter and a son, and this is the only country that the daughter and the son knows. So it's not like the mom can jump up. She's not Bahamian. It's not like she can jump up and take the kids back to her home country, seeing that, I mean, they would be completely foreign. So I think she's in some type of like battle right now, trying to get maybe permanent residency so she can remain here and her children can continue their lives uninterrupted in the Bahamas. So you're right. It does put you in a peculiar situation in that instance.
Absolutely.
I think we're still trying to get Kier back here to tell his story because he has an interesting story as well. I think that
do we have any idea? And because I've been following this from afar, like how many Bahamians would potentially be affected by these changes? How many?
I haven't heard. I don't think they've quantified any numbers per se. If they had, they probably would have been using that as part of the public relations campaign, which I haven't heard any specific numbers, Kendra.
Okay.
Yeah. But you touched on something. I don't know if it was we were live when you were talking about it, Kendra. You said one of the unfortunate things about this is it's not retroactive, which I kind of agree with you. But I think someone mentioned to me. I don't know if we have any legal minds on the call, but I don't think something in the Constitution could be made retroactive. Like if it didn't exist before that time, then it just didn't exist. You can't go back and say we're going to give you these constitutional rights that didn't exist before, but now they do. It's kind of the day they come into effect. That's the day that it starts.
Yeah, I mean, I think like fortunately for Gina's children, by the time, if hopefully when these amendments are adopted, they won't be affected because they would, they're Bahamian citizens. The changes would be in place by the time they reach the age where they are looking for spouses or having children. But for people like right now, like Kier and his son, they're still going to have to go through these long, tedious processes to get sorted out, and I think that's the real. I wonder if that has been contemplated by the present government and what sort of discussion, because I think that might just be a legislative, like once these bills are amended, it'd be great if a viewer could chime in. If once these are amended, can the government then have an act that would retroactively allow people to apply for citizenship for their minor children, or apply for women to apply for citizenship for their foreign spouse? So that's an interesting question. And Kier is back, so.
Yeah, we'll jump right into it with Kier. Kier, you back with us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic.
And I can see you now. You're looking great, brother.
Fantastic, thanks.
All right. So, Kier, we kind of expanded on Gina's situation a bit, but now that we've got you back, so your situation is, like you said, your son, he was born to a foreign mother outside of the country, correct?
Correct.
And and now you find yourself in the situation where he's in your care, and you're here in the Bahamas, and he does not have citizenship, and he's not necessarily entitled to citizenship either because you couldn't pass it on to him, correct?
That is correct.
So in his situation, he would simply have to, this isn't the best situation. I think that many unfortunate young persons who are caught in this vortex right now, but he would have to sit and wait until his 18th birthday, and then he has the right to apply.
Well, what has happened thus far, since he's been here.
How old is he? Sorry, how old is your son again?
He's 17 now. He's going to be 18 in September.
Okay.
Since he's been here, I've been trying to secure some type of status for him here. So what has happened is that he's had a series of either annual or biannual residency cards as foreign student residency. So at the end of every year or the end of every other year, I have to go to immigration and get a residency card for him as a foreign student.
How long has he been here?
He has been here since he's in 11th grade now, so he's been here since grade 5. So he's been here about 6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years. So you've been doing this since then. Okay.
Correct.
What?
And in addition to getting him his temporary status, I've been trying to get him some type of permanent Bahamian status. And the way the law is, for me to do that, I had to go through a process and because of the situation with his mother, number one, not being a Bahamian national, number two, us not being married, number three, him not being born on Bahamian soil, I had to legally adopt him.
You had to legally adopt him in order for, and that had nothing to do with citizenship. That simply had to do what, for you to be his guardian or legal guardian? Is that?
No, that's the process for the adoption.
But you are his, I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed that or not, but you are his biological father.
Kier,
that's true. My name is on his birth certificate.
So you would have to, one way for him to have Bahamian citizenship is for you to adopt him, even though
correct,
he's your son.
He lives in my house. He has my last name.
Right.
My name is on his birth certificate. Correct. That's the
You
law.
have to go through this extra convoluted process to.
That's the law.
Okay.
I have to go to social services has to come and visit my home to make sure that I am a fit parent and my dwelling is fit to raise my son who's been living with me for 6 years prior to them visiting me.
And how long has that been going on? How often do they have to do that? Every year, or is that
No,
just
no,
once?
it's only one visit. It's only one visit.
That's pretty wild. You had to adopt you had to adopt the child that is yours.
Correct. Same. He's never had a different surname. My name has been on his birth certificate since he was born.
Was there any type of
But
paternity test involved?
no, this is not. No, we didn't have to go to Maury. It was nothing like that.
That's pretty crazy, man. And
But
so what? Okay, so what happens? Does he have? Does he? I think you said his mom is
His
Jamaican. Is
mother's
that correct?
Jamaican. Yeah, yeah, correct.
Does he
But
have?
he was born. He was born in Miami.
Does he have? Okay, so he has automatically he has U.S. citizenship as it stands.
That's the only passport he holds.
Okay, is he entitled to Jamaican citizenship, or Jamaican laws is similar to our laws, and he wasn't entitled to it from birth?
He has he has a stamp in his passport that gives him landing privileges in Jamaica.
Okay.
So every year they put a stamp because of his maternal parentage. They give him a stamp that gives him landing privileges. And I don't think it's a 90-day, 60-day, whatever. I think they just give him landing privileges based upon his maternal parentage.
Okay. So what happens now when he turns 18? Is the process over for you guys? Is there light at the end of the
Well, what
tunnel? Is that
happened?
the
What
moment you've
happened?
been waiting on?
No, well, speaking frankly, what happened is that due to the adoption process, um, his mother became uncomfortable because in an adoption, parental rights have to be waived. And she wasn't comfortable waiving her parental rights. So that process that's now a moot process.
Okay.
So now we're finding another means where, the process where you open the newspaper and you see such and such is desiring citizenship in the paper. So that's the process I'm going through right now.
Okay. Boy, that's frustrating.
And to
Very,
answer
very
the
frustrating.
question, Farrell, he is entitled to Jamaican citizenship because his mother is Jamaican. I just checked
Correct.
everything. It doesn't matter whether or not his mother is married.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I mean, on that's an automatic on that side. That's an
Yeah.
automatic.
I mean, I think we are probably the only country in the region with this inequality written into our constitution. I think anybody who had something like this at independence has since amended their constitution to be to treat its citizens equally regardless of gender.
Yeah.
Kier, just another question. I know it's probably been a pretty frustrating and onerous process you've gone through with your son, but what are some of the other tangible obstacles that you think that you and your son have faced, and other parents similar to your situation have faced by him not being able to get Bahamian citizenship? Is there any other things that are denied, like access to school, denied access to
Well,
health care?
well, not access to healthcare, but he's an athlete. He probably would have made this year's Carifta team, but he was injured. But if he hadn't made the Carifta team, he would not have been able to be on the team because
Yeah,
he has no Bahamian status.
that's interesting, boy. All these little areas that you don't realize that negatively affect these children's lives. And have you ever like
Yeah,
the whole?
because my son trains. He trains with track and field every evening. He's a part of a club that specializes in jumps. He's been working hard for the past 2 or 3 years, and he probably would have qualified for Carifta this year, but even if he did, he would not be able to participate because he does not hold a Bahamian passport.
Understood. Understood. Are there any other things that you guys would have been subjected to over the I guess the 5 or 6 years that he's been here?
The only issue is
Kier, he just froze.
Okay, he dropped.
abroad and come back.
Kier, could you start that again? You froze.
Sorry, the issue has been with the efficiency of the immigration department with presenting us with his renewed residence cards. You know, there's been more than one occasion when we've traveled abroad and come back, and he presents his U.S. passport, and they say, okay, well, are you visiting? He, they know I live here, and his U.S. card, his Bahamian resident card has been expired, and what I've had to do at the last minute, like I had to get an emergency letter from immigration saying, well, he's applied for his renewed card, and this is not an exaggeration, 6 to 8 months ago, but no new card has been issued.
Now, I would imagine that's something that needs to happen relatively quickly because these your son, he has no other means of showing his official status.
Correct. And that has happened on many occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's a direct result of the I guess the perceived or actual inefficiency in the process itself.
Mm-hmm.
Of the process itself, correct.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. And amendment number 3, or the proposed amendment number 3, would directly resolve this issue that you're facing in the future if it passes, where a father can automatically pass on citizenship. A Bahamian father can automatically pass on citizenship to his child. Unwed Bahamian father, whether to a foreign mother, can pass on citizenship, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, and I look at my case in particular. Like I say, I'm a single father raising my son. Who has no status here? Who has lived there for almost a decade?
Yeah, yeah. This is your son's home.
Exactly. This is his home.
Yeah. So so again, just so we're clear, so upon his 18th birthday, what's going to happen? What exactly is he? Is he going to get citizenship, or it just starts?
There's a process going through now where he goes through the regular naturalization process that any foreign national goes through, where they have to petition the court, and they have to put an ad in the paper saying,
okay.
Yeah,
you said that earlier, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so that's right now.
And we know how long that can take. I've heard horror stories. I mean, absolute horror stories regarding that.
Exactly, and the thing is, the onus is now upon me to try and make this happen before his 18th birthday, because once he turns 18, the whole game changes.
Why is that?
Well, the way it is, as a minor, he will be able to do that and still maintain his U.S. status. But as an adult, you cannot do that, as far as I understand the law.
So in other words, you're not supposed to hold dual citizenship, is what you're saying, past the age of 18.
Correct. A minor can do that, and a minor can do that and carry that on. Yeah,
but 18, you're supposed to make a decision, I think it is, and something has to be renounced.
Correct. That is correct. But a minor can maintain, and once a minor maintains that can carry on.
Okay. Fair enough. Understood. So, how is he going to travel then? After his 18th birthday, let's say this process takes 5 years. What is he going to do within that 5 years as an adult?
he'll have to return he'll have to return back here as a tourist every time he comes home.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. Okay.
I
And
mean, of course, he has ties in Jamaica, but this is his own.
well, Jamaica's not where he would go, right? I mean, he'd probably go to the U.S., I think, right? Because that's the only place he'd have legal citizenship.
No, yeah, I mean, of course, of course, of course. I'm just saying, if he even had an option,
Right. Right. Okay.
because like I say, he does not hold the Jamaican passport.
All right. And then and I think this is important. This is why we want persons out there to understand that these cases exist. Like, I mean, there are people who are greatly hampered by these conditions that exist in our Constitution right now, and why it's so important that we try to maturely and responsibly address these issues. I think Kia, you and your son is a prime example, and then we know Gina as well, with her not being able to be granted citizenship, even if or apply for citizenship if she wanted to. The process is a pretty lengthy one. Um, Kia, what would you say to all those people out there who criticize Bill number 3, saying that Bahamian men are irresponsible? It will just give them the option to go out there and plant their seed in all kind of foreign women, and those foreign women children now will be Bahamian, and they can come here and they could take over and that sort of stuff. I mean, how do you respond to that?
And I think it's a very limited and closed-minded point of view, because persons like me, I mean, I guess they are thinking of persons who are trying to abuse the system for the most part. In my case, I would like to have the opportunity to make use of the system to make things better, at least within my household, to make sure that I know the young man that I've raised has no issues with regards to entering and leaving the country where he's grown up. And I guess you will always have a fringe segment who will always look at the least desirable aspect of anything. But there has to be some persons advocating for persons who are in undesirable positions like myself. I mean, because countless fees have been paid for legal advice with regards to me and my situation, and I still haven't achieved the end result. I mean, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I still have a few months before September. But I think that the whole thing has been spun and spun and spun till the hinges have almost fall off, where people are losing view, or have lost view of the real pertinent points with regards to the referendum. These are about empowering the rights of Bahamians, and empowering the rights of Bahamians who may or may not have ties to persons, and when I say ties, I mean interpersonal ties, where they are benefiting families and they're benefiting households. I mean, that's how I feel.
Can I ask here, how does your son feel? Because he's 17, so he's aware. I imagine he's aware of the situation. Like, what are his thoughts? Like, he spent half his life in the Bahamas and is basically treated.
I'm gonna ask you to repeat that, because you were broken up when it began.
Oh, sure. I was saying, if you don't mind, telling us how does this make your son feel? Because he's 17 and he's lived half of his life in the country. How does it affect him?
Right.
And his identity, I guess, as a Bahamian. And I mean, I imagine, so he's an athlete. He wants to go off to school. Like, how?
Right.
How is that affecting him personally?
Well, I'll tell you, he was actually excited about his chances of making the Carifta team this year. His coach and I had to tell him, even if you qualify, you can't go. So, it was a lot, I guess it was a bit disheartening to know you've been here all this time, you've been busting your ass in practice and competing at these meets. You you could win here, you could qualify here, but when that team take off on a plane for Carifta, you can be right there because you can't go. And also, there's been a sense of embarrassment a few times when he's traveled by himself and come back to the country, and while he's abroad, I have to hustle and try to get a letter for immigration because his current residence card has been expired. So I have to hustle and try to get a letter to send to immigration so he doesn't get turned back at the airport, even though he lives here and has been living here.
That is crazy.
Gina, I don't know if you, Gina, you still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
I don't know if you want to maybe just say some last words. We're probably going to wrap it up at this point. We're an hour in. And, maybe if you can put something out there into the hemisphere, why we should support this, or why this is a step in the right direction. Someone being in your position, married to a Bahamian, a foreigner married to a Bahamian. What would you share with us?
Yeah, my biggest point is for my children, for the future. I have 2 daughters and 1 son, like I said before. If my daughters spend their whole lives here in the Bahamas, get married to a foreigner and have children, their children are then not Bahamian, which just makes absolutely no sense to me. This is their home, and why wouldn't they pass that on? Versus, if my son grows up and, moves to Italy and gets married there and has a baby, his children will then be Bahamian. That just it's that inequality that is just mind-boggling, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. And I think for many of us, it's pretty astonishing that there's really, in most of our minds, there's no justification why inequality should exist. If it's there, it needs to be rectified, point blank. There should be no wrangling or no debate about it. Let's just address it and fix it. Whatever is offered to a woman should be offered to a man, and vice versa. Whatever is offered to a man should be offered to a woman in this day and age. So I know it's frustrating for many folks, but this has turned into a very emotional issue, unfortunately. It should have been a very practical issue. But emotions have run deep.
You get greater turnout, and you're able to bend things a little bit easier when emotions are involved.
This is true. Kendra, is there anything that you want to add to it, because you're watching from abroad, so you have a unique perspective than most of us who are in the trenches dealing with this on a daily basis.
Right.
I don't know if there's any insight or observations that you could share.
So to correct something I sent earlier, and we can add these links to the video after, we're one of 27 countries in the world that limit a woman's ability to pass on citizenship. And it seems like Barbados is the only other country in the Caribbean that also has these limits. Children of Barbadian men can be citizens by descent. It doesn't seem that children of Barbadian women automatically are afforded that right. So we're still in small company, and like you said, there's no logical reason for this. And I remember in 2002 when the referendum, I was at Cayville in Barbados, and I of course didn't come home to vote, but because I thought, well, this is a no-brainer, like, this is an artifact of I guess sexist history. And when it didn't pass, I was shocked. Like, and people around me were shocked. It's like, and now when I talk to my friends here and I, sort of explain what's going on, they're like, why can't you as a Bahamian woman pass on your citizenship regardless of your marital status? Like, why is that important? And there is no rational reason for us to keep this in our constitution for Bahamian men and women, single or married. And it has, I think people need to understand that it has serious consequences for people's lives. And I don't, I mean, I'm proud to be Bahamian and where I'm from, but I don't understand. It seems like there's this extra, I guess this nationalism, like Bahamian citizenship is something that to be held on to really, really tightly. Like only Bahamian men can have it and wield it as they so choose, and I don't understand that. It's disappointing, very disappointing to sort of see people co-opt what I think is a really basic, simple issue, a straightforward issue, and and inject their hate and lies and misinformation into it. So it's been disappointing to watch from afar, but I will say, watching the conversations in BFT, I think my hope is that there's a silent majority of people who are not yelling at the top of their lungs that these amendments are going to bring same-sex marriage, and we'll have transgender people using whatever bathrooms they want. And I that is my hope, that most people get it, and that these people will go out and vote, and that this will sort of be behind us, and all of the craziness will just fade to black.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, Kendra.
Fingers crossed.
Kier, we're wrapping up real quick right now. I mean, if there's anything that you want to put out there to persons who may have been undecided or not sure how to vote in the upcoming referendum, as it relates to your particular situation, what would you share with them?
Can you repeat, because you broke up just now?
You with us, Kier? Oh, you want me to repeat the question? Yeah, I was just saying we're wrapping up. Just
Okay.
in summary, what would you want to share with people out there who may be undecided or not, they're not exactly sure what they're going to do in the upcoming referendum? What advice or which kind of words of wisdom would you share with them in order to get into their heads a bit?
I mean, all I would say is that, consider individuals like myself who has been raising a son foreign born. Particularly, I've been raising him by myself. There's a lot of sensationalism going on, but you must also understand that these things are impacting persons on a singular basis. And it's very frustrating for someone like myself who, at the very least, I would like to pass on my nationality to my one child. And the archaic laws have not allowed me to do so. I will have to adopt my child, who I've known since his birth and who has been under my roof for the last almost decade of his life. So pay attention to the individual stories. Don't pay attention to the stories that are being sensationalized and the quote unquote hot points and the hot topics. This referendum affects persons on a very, very, very personal basis. And I mean, that's my contribution.
All right, thank you, man. Really appreciate it, Gina and Kier. We really appreciate you guys coming out and sharing your story with all of us. I think it was very informative. And Kendra, thank you for tagging along on this as one of the BFT administrators. I think we're maybe less than a month out, I think. I can't remember the exact date of the referendum, June 19th or 17th or 15th. But anyway, we're a few weeks out, so I think BFT, we may have a few more of these type of informational sessions trying to get get the word out to people leading into the to the referendum day itself. So listen out and look out for more. We're going to put them out there, and we thank you all for viewing. We thank the panelists, Gina and Kia. We appreciate you guys. You're great members of BFT. And if anybody's interested in becoming a part of BFT, Bahamas Free Thinkers, it's just a pool of troublemakers, Bahamian troublemakers. No, I'm kidding. It's a great environment for persons to be in and to express themselves on many different topics, non-judgmental. We go pretty hard at each other, but it's a great environment. You can look us up on Facebook and request to join, and we'll take it from there. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Kendra, thank you for the support. Gina, Kia, we love you guys. Thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Hey, man, thank you as well, and I appreciate the forum.